Awesome. What up, Discord? You guys hear us?
I can hear you. Oh, well, I'm not on Discord. I'm on Discord, but I guess I'm hearing you from here, so um, that doesn't count. How's it going, people? Um, you guys having a? Yeah.
Yeah, looks good.
Looks great, dude.
Think we're doing it.
Figured it out. um, I've still got to. I mean, there's still some podcasts because I mean, I binge podcasts. Like, I probably watch like I don't know, like 20 hours of these things every week, right? Or something like that. This like once that the video quality is like so good. Like I still haven't figured out. I was gonna during the week like figure it out with Adar to be like, hey Adar, go check out this podcast and tell me how their videos are like this like pristine. Um, trying to remember and do it next week.
Yeah, I mean, I think you get to the point where you end up with dedicated cameras and you're in a bit of a
No,
studio.
but I don't think so. Because these are like just regulars, like business folks. I think they're using their laptops. I mean, yes, they have mics, but the laptops. I'm like, what are they doing? So that's just definitely their laptops. They don't have like Freeberg and Chamat. Those guys don't have like cameras, right? Like All Import is one of them that I listen to every week. I don't think like those guys have cameras, right? Either maybe Jason has a camera because he does a lot of podcasts, but like anyways.
Nice. It could be. Now to see if I can get in the chat without joining on this other computer. All right, I'm in.
Yeah, we're in the chat. I'm not on the stage as well, so I can be on the chat.
Sweet. I love it. Feel like we almost don't even need to start because we had like success. We just hang out.
Oh
Well, shall
yeah.
we?
Let's do it, sir. Let's do it.
All right, all right. Welcome to the Weekly Claw. It's Friday, August 21st. The models didn't move significantly, a couple pieces of news, but the layer beneath it did. Again, the harness, um, speed, routing, payments, judgment, um, launch as a chart, not features. That's the new moat. So, what do you think? 5 stories? We're not going to do a benchmark parade. We're going to mention Herald Labs, and then we answer the only question that matters. Who owns the operating layer now? This episode is brought to you by Herald Labs, an applied AI product laboratory with humans and agents building together. Their product entity is mission control for agent teams, and they run hacker houses worldwide. Find them at labs.theherald.co. And back to the operating layer. My friend, what do we
Yes,
know?
sir. I mean it's a dope week. Let's go to the next one. Obviously, you're gonna help me move the slides. I guess when you get back on the thing, Luttrell or that your volume is a bit low. So is my own volume good now? Luttrell, am I pronouncing your name well? Can you guys hear me good, or is my volume as low as Andy's as well? I hear you fine. All right, thank you, Luttrell. Okay, pretty good. So guys, again, super cool week. Um, I am less. I would say this week I feel a lot less psychotic than usual. I mean, the last few weeks has been like so much happening, and we get on the show and we're like, oh my god, we're going crazy. Um, but I kind of like listened to like a few things this week that sort of like um got me to think a little bit sort of like saner, especially around, let's just make sure that we're not um, just kind of like launching and just doing new stuff. Like it has to like affect people's lives, right? So I've been a lot more thoughtful around so like how these things improve the lives of people versus just like very crazy launches and then we're kind of like on this high, but then it doesn't really kind of like become anything. It's like materially beyond some of us like geeks. Um, so I think I'm a bit more. I think it's so cooler and it's like more of my vibe where the week is this week. So this week hasn't had a lot of like crazy stuff happening. They also like very kind of like mellow stuff happening here and there. So there wasn't like crazy stuff happening. Um and I do think that actually that I wish things become a lot more like this, like where it's a lot slower, like it allows people to adopt it, like makes people less scared, makes people a lot more kind of like um less FOMO'd out, Andy. I don't know if you know what I mean.
Oh, I know
Um
exactly what you
because
mean.
because the anxiety every week is something else and like so crazy, and then it's like everyone is trying to keep up and like wondering like what does this mean? It's I guess at some point, like you really do get burnt out, right? And it's like, what is going on? It's like, what is changed today? Am I richer today? Can I buy a bigger house? Can my kids do something better today?
Yeah, yeah. I know exactly what you
uh,
mean. Friday last week, Quen 3.8 came out, and then all weekend long it was updates. People, innovating the recipe to speed it up. And when I first launched it, it was 30 tokens per second on my RTX 3090, and then there was an optimization that got me to 60, and then Orinth came out on Tuesday, and it's just been
in the 70.
it's been a ride. 150 tokens per second on my RTX 3090 at
Are
like
you in
Opus
150
4.6.
now? I thought you were like at 70. You're 150? What?
Maybe I'm thinking of something else. I think it's
No, no,
that
no, that's it.
fast.
No,
I
yeah, I
really
think so.
do.
I think so. I think so. I think so. Um, yeah, but I guess like for me, right? Obviously the local models have been the most impactful. So this week, guys, just before I kind of like get into my docket, I canceled like a few of my like subs, and then started using more locals in a lot more places. So yeah, so I would say that that's cool. Um, and yeah, over the next few weeks, I will really kind of like figure out how do I. Is it 150?
Real fast.
What is it? Is it 150? What is it?
Oh,
What is this?
this is
What
just chat. This is
what
chat
harness is
box.
this?
This is just chat
Chat box.
box. Yeah, so it's just making the OpenAI direct um,
Okay.
request.
It doesn't show the tokens per
It doesn't.
second here.
No, how disappointing is that? Give me 500 words on something. I mean,
Yeah, it's
it's
very
real
fast.
fast. Yeah.
And it's not dumb, right? It's like
No.
it's really good.
Yeah. Like, I mean, all the benchmarks say Opus 4.6.7. Scary.
Yeah. Who
Big
I
big
don't know
leaps.
if you added it to your docket. I think you should talk a little bit more about it later in the show. I think it's super cool.
Yeah, let's
Okay.
do it.
I don't have a lot to share. I think I have top 5 topics, but they're also like super quick topics. Um, so the first one to start with is a model launched this week. Or well, it's not a model; it's like a research paper. A couple of guys did a model called Faraday. And Faraday is like a 27B model supervisor, and he performed, as you can see in the benchmarks, he performed better than GPT 5.5. I think this is Claude 4.8, I think, or even Opus 5 as well, right? So um yeah, and so kind of like I mean, this is a technical paper, so it's the idea is that you can get much smaller, much dumber models to perform a lot better by making them use tools of bigger models when they need to, right? And and so it's sort of like I guess like it's a version of seeing an orchestrator model, having some sort of an orchestrator model and a smaller model, and then having the orchestrator model figure out when to use the smaller model and when to use the kind of like bigger model. And this is really where I'm going to personally in my workflow. So um, I do have a Spark and an M5. And this week, what I started to do is I have started to use um, Queen 3.8 27B model, a lot more in production, running on it's like my MacBook. Like Andy has been talking about, there's been a lot of innovations. This Dr. Flash 2 came out, got that to 60 tokens per second or not of 60 tokens per second. So that's really fast. That's faster than um, what you get from like a GPT 5.6 so, right? It's faster than that. And so this is like having I mean, we talked about this last week. It's equivalent of like a 4.6, 4.7 model. And then obviously Andy will talk a little bit about Ornit, which is again even faster than that and maybe slightly smarter. Okay. So yeah, so that's what I'm starting with. But Andy, let's keep it moving. I guess like a lot more still staying on speed. Cerebra has had their conference this week. So like the dev conference. It was pretty cool. I watched one interview with Thibault. Yeah, it was pretty cool, right? Cerebras is like the partner, the OpenAI partner, their public company. They came to market together for GPT 5.3 Spark, the super fast model. And we talked about last week um the GPT 5.6 Soul ultra fast that they're putting out that's going to be at 750 tokens per second. And so this yeah, and then Andy, if you play the video before I continue, the video has some cool stuff. Unfortunately, we don't have voice, so that's fine. So I just narrate a little bit. So these guys are launching so like I wouldn't call it, I would like call it like I wouldn't call it a chip. It's not a chip. It's almost like a computer, right? The supercomputer called like a C4. Um and so with Cerebras, again, they don't use NVIDIA chips. They make their own chips, and their chips are it's like optimized for inference. Their chips aren't used for training. The chips are optimized for inference, and they're super fast. That's why they can get to 750 or 1,000 tokens per second, powering like $1 trillion parameter models, or trillion parameter models. So I don't think this has it in this video, but they also have another video where they kind of like show, or they have a benchmark where they show how fast they plan for this to go for. Um, yeah. And the plan is that this will be able to stream a GPT 5.6 Soul at 1,000 tokens per second, right? So this is like their next thing. Yeah, Andy, obviously we talked about ultra fast. Ultra fast is 750. The new chip is going to take it to like 1,000, 1,500 when they put that out. So yeah, so guys, I mean, we're kind of like moving from the will I call it a dial-up of inference to the broadband of inference. And I still reckon this is still far from, we're still going to get to the fiber of inference when you're probably talking about like, I don't know, like 5,000 tokens per second, right? Where, as you're thinking it, it's like happening, right? Um, so yeah, so this is super cool. Andy? Cool. Another super cool stuff that happened. I've got two news here about OpenRouter. OpenRouter got acquired this week by Stripe for $10 billion. It's super impressive. The company just raised the round. They raised the round at 1.5 or $1.7 billion like a month ago. Like
Right.
they were out raising a round actually.
Yeah. Apparently they've
And
10x.
yeah, they just got bought for 10x in like a few months. So it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. Stripe had I read a little bit of it. But Stripe wrote a letter because obviously Stripe is one of the biggest private companies in the world. They still have no intention of going public anytime soon. Interesting. So they had to write a letter to their investors explaining why they did this because this is their biggest acquisition to date. I think he bought a company earlier in the year, Bridge, or something for like 2 billion. It's like a crypto um thing. It's like a stable coin infrastructure. Either earlier this year or late last year. So I think it bought that for like under 5 billion. And so this is their biggest acquisition to date. And so they were explaining why they had to do this acquisition. I think these guys are doing something like 30 trillion tokens a month now, or a week, or a day, like some ridiculous number a day. Open router.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
they're doing a
lot.
ridiculous number. Um, I guess like for Stripe is also sort of like thinking that open router might be so like the rails for people paying for inference in future, right? So today me and you are buying subs from OpenAI and Anthropic. But to be honest, like these companies can get so big, they might care less about the margin that we might, like for instance, I canceled 3 subs. I canceled a Claude, a Minimax and a Kimi, and I still have like 4 of them, you know. But in the future, maybe we would say that, hey, like it makes no sense to like manage all the subs, independently. I just buy one open router account and I'll be fine, right? Um, so yeah, so I think that really making a bet that we're going into a world where open router will be kind of like the Stripe of inference, right? Where everybody who's buying inference will just like go to an open router and buy from them, versus like paying the collabs directly, or kind of like having 20 subs or 10 subs, when you can just have one orchestrator. And did you use open router?
I went through a phase. Most of the development work that I did was for corporate customers, and so it wasn't going to be an appropriate source for inference for me. But I played with it for a time, and having access to all the models was great. There was a time when you kind of questioned like whether or not there was a you know super quantized model being peddled at a
Yeah.
rate, and so like kind of went back and forth on it. Like, apparently it's pretty reliable today, and it seems to be the place where people are launching, like, not quite ready to call it what it's going to be, ghost models. I mean, that's part of the news for today too, right? Like, as
Yeah,
soon
it's the
as
next. This
they
is really the
announced,
next topic.
yeah, it's right there. Like, it's, yeah, everything's going there. And there's no
Yeah,
question that the model router, they call it open router, you just select your model today, but there's no question moving forward we're not going to use the same model for every request, and boy are they set up in a great spot to make the decision.
correct. Correct. Another news that also happened, and I can layer it on, even though I don't have it on the docket, is Ramp, um, which is again a very big fintech, and that got acquired by a big bank. Oh no, Ramp is still. It was Brex that got acquired. Ramp is still private. But RAM also launched Ramp a few weeks ago launched their router products internally. And today, and the day which is 2 days ago, the day that Stripe bought this company, or yesterday, they announced that they bought router.com. So Ramp owns router.com. So if you go to router.com today, they're offering a similar product. And their product is exactly what you just said. It's a router that you just use it and it figures out which model you should use for what, right? So you're not like selecting, it's like you pay them for it. I mean, I don't use it. I haven't set it up. I should actually go check out how it works. But I reckon that they will probably try to be in the same business as Open Router. Because if they're helping you orchestrate all these models, then they should have access to all these models. And then they should give you the optionality to choose between orchestrating yourself or letting them orchestrate for you.
Yeah, for sure. Now you run a model proxy behind your agents,
Yes.
right? So
Yes. I run Citadel.
right, so there's an option. I don't know if Citadel has a router option. I'm assuming it does,
Not
but
yet.
I mean, there's
I haven't done that yet.
certainly an opportunity to drop one in its place, right?
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. I thought about it actually. I thought about it this week. I just haven't had the bandwidth to do it, but like 100%. So I mean, so just for the guys in the audience who, I mean, I talked about it months ago, but one of the things I'm doing with my agent crew is I'm centralizing a lot of our kind of like operations. So we use one memory service, right? Instead of like having them have different service, we use one provider service, like which is Citadel. I've been working on start date for a few weeks now, which is again one central cron service. And so just moving everything out of the agent into like a centralized system. So my agents behave like humans and these things are tools. So they connect into them. So I don't have to like set them up on every single agent. Um, so yeah, so I did think about it when I started seeing when I saw router, I was like, yeah, I should definitely start thinking about how the technology works. I guess the reason I haven't jumped at it yet is in my mind something just I still think is like it might be a bit complex to build, but maybe not. Like, it's like I guess you need to have an LLM as a judge, always figuring out the intent and then routing it. It will add some latency to it, but I haven't like gone there yet.
Yeah, very
All
cool.
right. Uh, so yeah, so again, just kind of wrapping up with Open Router. I pull out the screenshot to put out there because it's like crazy that so there's this new model that is out today, Ox Alpha, and you guys can see that the model it just came out today, right? I'm using it already. Andy, I think I messaged you about it. I think you said it was a bit slow. Um,
Just looking at the
your
benchmark,
sport.
it said
I,
something
I,
like
I,
20.
Yeah, Andy, you're just sport, dude. Like you're sports, right? Like, what are you talking about? It's like 20s because you're at 150 now, right? It's like, what are you talking
Yeah,
about? Like,
on a 3-year-old GPU. Yeah,
so yeah, so but guys, it's incredible, right? This model is out today. You can see it's at 1.6 um tera, whatever, right? Or trillion
trillion
parameters,
tokens. Yeah,
trillion tokens used, right? You can see DeepSeek is at 1.9, and then like this brand new model is like really leapfrogged everybody else. But I guess it's free. It's because it's free as well, right? So everybody's sort of like plugged into it. So yeah, that launched today. People are super impressed by it. I've been seeing people comparing it to like being better than Fable. People are saying it's most likely GLM. Um, I've seen analysis saying it's an American model because the latency in America is like much shorter versus like Europe and Asia. So people are saying it's an American model. But yeah, it's out. If you don't have it and you're not using it, definitely sign up to like Open Router and get access to it. It's free, cool model. I benchmarked it just before the show for my own internal benchmarks. It's not great. Like it still scores like it's like far from where like the deep seeks and the queens are. But I hear that it's a good coding model. It's just not a good general model. So I think that's what the problem is because my benchmark is a generalized benchmark. So it checks coding, but then all the other things that we do. So it apparently didn't do very well with a bunch of the other things, but it did very well with coding. Cool.
sweet.
Um, yeah. So DeepSeek, this is a super quick one. So DeepSeek today launched an update to the Flash model. Called the DeepSeek V4 Flash Vision experimental. I guess it's like exciting thing is it adds vision to the existing DeepSeek Flash model. Again, this is my preferred local model now. It's running 24 hours on my software factory. It's always just cooking things. So it's definitely the most preferred model. I think I've gotten the model to a place where it's super fast. Some of the cool recipes put out by the open source community. So this is definitely the preferred model today for open source guys. And the only sort of like issue it has is it doesn't have vision, but that's easily solved, right? Because you easily pair it with like a liquid model or a queen vision model, right? It's like a 2.5 or it's like really tiny vision model. So it works. But yeah, but DeepSeek is still like solving that problem. They just really the vision model upgrade to it, and you can see in some of the bench, it's doing better in some bench. Like it added like a point in terminal bench, cyber gym. Like it actually went back behind a little bit, backward a little bit inside of cyber gym. So yeah, so he added mostly in some places, but then went backward in like in the cyber part of things. Jan, do you have any thoughts on this?
I do. I've been going through this. When I launched Quen 3.8 27B on Friday, I was just using the raw model, um, Q4, um, and it had vision, and I was like, "This is amazing." And then we got D-Flash, and it sped it up to like 60 tokens per second from 30. but you lost vision in
Yeah.
Llama CPP, and then Orinth came out, which meets a lot of the same criteria. It runs great on the RTX 3090. It passes a lot of the same benchmarks at very similar spots, and it runs at 150 tokens per second. And I was like so excited, and I was disappointed to learn that it too lacks vision. So I started looking at how I would tie in a vision model and what have you. This is a very exciting thing to see. It looks like we'll need to wait for some quantized versions to get it onto 128 gig MacBook Pro, for example. But I bet we'll see it run, and that'll be a big day.
Is it much bigger than? Is it much bigger than the? Oh yeah. Because the even the V4 Flash doesn't run on. Does he run on MacBooks now? No, you
It
need a
runs
quantized version, right?
you need a quantized version, and if you use the DS4 runner, it's called Dwarf Star 4. It it it's fully optimized for the hardware. It runs very fast. So I've been
Right.
running DeepSeek 4 Flash since we left for Europe in May. So it's a great model. It's been a workhorse for me. It sure sucks the battery down if you're not plugged in, but otherwise it's been very powerful. But again, it lacks vision. This is exciting, and we'll definitely see adaptations of this for equipment like that. Um, the architect mentioned in Discord that we didn't mention the DeepSeek harness, and I brought up, of course, that we talked about it last week. But I thought I would
Last
just
week.
point
Yeah.
out as a bit of an aside, um, I was running the DeepSeek harness when Henry and I started talking about 10 minutes before the show, and I said, "Hey, what would you think about having a producer agent to watch our agenda?" And I coded this basically while we opened the show, and it finished a
Dude, you
couple
did it
minutes ago.
already.
Oh yeah, and it finished during the show, and so it's already running. It's behind on time, so I'll have to add a way to start it in the middle of the show. But these are the segments we're through and what have you. So I coded this with DeepSeek 4 Flash in the DeepSeek harness over the last, I don't know, it ran for 20 minutes probably, but it's ready to go.
Yeah.
So we've got our agenda in here, and if we push something back, it shows us if we're ahead or behind, and just trying to improve things for everyone. But you mentioned DeepSeek harness, totally relevant. They're ripping it up. Anything
Wow.
else?
Incredible. Yeah. I think I've got one more, two more things in the docket, and yeah. But I think that's it for me for okay. I think one more thing. Okay. I mean, I've been seeing Omarachi and Slack on my kind of like timeline for the last few days. And then obviously just before the show, I saw that DHH, just kind of like announced that he's starting a foundation called the Omacom, and getting some donations from the from Toby, Toby's Shopify, and the Stripe founder, the Collisons, and a few guys, right? And he just like pinged a few of his friends on WhatsApp, and then they all like donated 1 million, and then he decided to launch his foundation. So Omarachi is sort of like it's like a Linus Arc fork, right? But white people have been Theo made a video about like why you don't want to use why your agents are better off on Linux versus like um MacBook. He had a video yesterday about it. So I think and so like the Edge community, it's like the geeks, there's this thing where people are starting to prefer Linux or Linux operating systems. Apparently it's like agents work a lot better in it, like the file system is easier to handle, and so this is like a special fork that makes it really easy to use it, right? Like everything is basically like CLI, right? You use the whole operating system as a CLI. So that means an agent has like full control of your operating system. It can do every single thing, versus a MacBook where, you need to use computer use, you need to kind of like do weird AppleScript stuff to be able to do cool stuff. So you can see that the whole operating system is basically programmable, right? And so people are super excited about this now. And so I reckon over the next few weeks, you're going to see this take off. I haven't installed it yet. I was talking to my kind of like talking to my agents to kind of like figure out what's the right way to kind of like start testing this, and it's probably putting up like a Parallels desktop or a UTM, so like parallel virtualization product, and then checking it out. But if you're an engineer and like you love like terminal, or it's like CLI, then this you're gonna love this because it's like native. Everything is like native terminals. You could use shortcuts for everything. Agent has full control of the thing. Thank you, Andy. It looks absolutely like hammered. I mean, obviously, it still has GUI. You can use a browser in it. It has like all the cool stuff a regular OS has. It just also kind of like natively supports like dev type stuff. Yeah, and these are
Yeah.
very cool kind of like pictures of it.
Yeah.
I guess that's it for me this week. Andy, let me know what you think about this, and then it's over to you for the rest of the show.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. I mean, my career was basically built as a Linux system administrator, and I was a little sad when Apple announced the end of their Intel support and the Apple Silicon was launched. But then I was a little excited too, because then we got to try whole new generations of operating systems on that beautiful hardware. And so I have a 13-inch MacBook Pro. It's actually right here that I run, I don't know, Linux Mint on, and it absolutely screams. Um, and the hardware is just as beautiful as it was when it ran Mac OS. So it's exciting to see, Linux runs the world. I mean, all of the infrastructure that matters is essentially in Linux, and getting to see bespoke environments. They call them opinionated Linux environments, basically, where you've got one guy who's got a vision for how it should work, and he builds a whole operating system around it. It's pretty cool. I'd love to see innovations like that. That's great. Thanks for
And
bringing that
then
up.
that means you're going to be testing this very soon, then, yeah?
Yeah, sure. I'm just learning
Yeah, you
about it,
should.
but I'll definitely be testing it.
Yeah, because you're a lot more so like technical with the so like system admin and like Linux type stuff. So it'd be super cool to kind of like get like a breakdown from you in terms of how valuable you actually think it is for technical folks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, absolutely. Well, we've been talking about doing kind of off schedule episodes on specific topics. We're gonna at some point talk about how I built the website for my telecom company. We've got Jim from the early days of the OpenClaw community, representing the Chinese user groups. Hopefully, going to talk to us about his long running um, research agents, and then I think this would be a great little episode we could do for sure.
Yeah, cool.
Awesome, man. Well, this week I've got from my signal from outside. I decided I would go um, outside of OpenClaw just a little bit, but there's some nice tiebacks. This week, the video I'm going to review is Gary Tan, a president and CEO of Y Combinator. 42-minute video. It's on the startup school stage, no interviewer, and maybe 7,000 people at the event. I'll give you the hook up front. Partway through, he walks the audience through the system that he runs his own life on and says our thing by name twice. But he takes his time to get there. He opens the talk with 20 minutes of 17th century philosophy. He tells the story of Baruch Spinoza. This is Amsterdam, July 1656. He's 23 years old and excommunicated by his own community with what Tan calls the most violent curse they've ever issued. Nobody can speak to him, nobody can read anything that he writes. And of the 42 bans that community handed down during the century, this is the one with no repentance clause. So it's never been lifted, and technically it's still in force. Um, Before the curse, they tried to buy him off 1,000 guilders a year, which was real money, just to show up occasionally and keep quiet. And he said no. Tan translates it for the room. They offered him a salary to stop building. And then someone came at him with a knife, tore his cloak, missed him, but he kept the cloak unmended for the rest of his life so he could remember where the cost of ideas would land. Um, What does the most canceled man of the 17th century do next? He grinds lenses. By day, he's grinding optical instruments good enough that the best scientists in Europe come to him for them. And by night, he's writing a book too dangerous to publish while he's alive. He dies at 44 with his lungs full of glass dust, and the manuscript goes out by canal barge locked in his writing desk. So here's the turn. His heresy that got him excommunicated from his community was that he claimed God isn't a king on a throne, it's spread through everything. Tan says we're making the same mistake right now about AGI. Everybody's waiting for one big announcement, some threshold. Someday the sky changes color and AGI has arrived. Tan says everyone's watching the sky, and the thing they're watching for is already in the room. And it doesn't look like a god. It looks like infrastructure, a terminal window, a folder of markdown files. And that's his thesis. He calls it personal AGI, not general intelligence for everyone at once, general intelligence for one person. And he's sharp about what it means because personal AI already got captured by marketing departments. He does not mean a chatbot subscription. That's corporate AGI. You don't own that, and it resets when you close the tab. It knows what everyone else already knows, and when the company pivots, your assistant gets a lobotomy on somebody else's schedule. Then he brings the receipts, and this is a little uncomfortable if you write code for a living. In 2013, Tan was shipping YC's internal tools at night at about 14 useful lines of code a day, which he notes is dead on the published median. Today, same brain, fewer hours, with kid pickup at 5, he puts his output closer to 400 times that. Then he deflates his own number for you. He says, assume the agent writes bloat, or assume half his scaffolding, assume he's flattering himself. Still, it's 8 times that at least. The portfolio data is even stronger. A batch from a year and a half ago, where a quarter of the companies had code bases 95% AI generated, now on track to be one of the fastest growing in YC history. Emergent out of summer 24, public launch to 9 figures in 8 months, retail at 60 million annualized with about 40 people. He's careful to say he can't prove causation. What he says is that the fastest growing founders he funds aren't treating AI as autocomplete, they're treating it as a workforce. Now, for this room, this is kind of cool. He calls his system GBrain, a knowledge wiki of roughly 220,000 markdown pages, 25 years of his life diarized, every email and meeting and note compiled and curated and searched by agents. And the sentence is, my personal OpenClaw has a Carpathy-style knowledge wiki with about 220,000 markdown pages. That's OpenClaw running the life of the president of Y Combinator. Sitting on top of it is his coding framework, GStack, which he says is at 123,000 stars on GitHub. His day? The agent works the inbox overnight and hands him a briefing instead of a pile of emails. It preps documents for him before every meeting and does research he got curious about at midnight and has it finished by morning. The unit underneath all of it is the skill file, and he's deliberate about how boring it is. A page of English describing one job. He has a test. If a smart intern can follow it, an agent can run it. Markdown is actually code, he says, and the compiler is the model. He mentions someone at YC's finance team who has never opened a terminal, has compiled about 100 Excel workbooks into one app, and she's not a programmer, she's a manager of agents. My favorite receipt, though, is the one about the talk itself. 5 days out, he decided he needed Spinoza. So his agent went and got 3 biographies, about 1,500 pages worth, read all of them, and came back with a chronology. Every point where the 3 biographers disagree and the 10 most tellable moments of the man's life ranked with delivery notes. The knife, the bribe, the desk, every beat of that opening came out of an overnight run. Then the talk turns political, and this is for contributors. A skill file isn't a document, he says. It's your judgment, pulled out of your head and made executable. The same file, two completely different futures, depending on who owns it. He runs this hypothetical. He says a support engineer, Maya, who spends 2 years teaching her agent 40 skills: how to triage a PO at 2 in the morning, how to talk down a customer about churn. Um, if these files live in her repo, she walks into her next job with 2 years of compound judgment on tap. If they live in the company's repo under company IT policy, she leaves with nothing, and they keep running her judgment without her. She didn't have a career, she had an extraction. The doctrine, stated plainly, is this: own your skills, because if you don't, your job becomes a skill file. And then he ties it back, which I thought was nicely done. He says, every comfortable arrangement where your judgment compounds in somebody else's repo is 1,000 guilders rebranded. So the homework is 5 steps. Pick a harness and run an agent on your own machine. This is the second time he mentions OpenClaw. He says he runs OpenClaw in Hermes. Start one folder of Markdown files this weekend. Write your first skill file about whatever weekly task you hate the most. Wire it up as a recurring job and never do one-off work. At the end of every task, have the agent turn what it just did into something reusable. If you have to ask for something twice, you failed. He's blunt that most people quit in week 2, right about when it would start working. Ends with a story about a friend who had a son with a rare form of epilepsy. No lab, no grant, no permission. The guy just built a repo of 80,000 Markdown files about his own kid. Every specialist visit and paper and seizure log and drug interaction cross-linked so that when a new doctor floats an idea, he can tell in minutes whether or not it's already been tried. Just a father and a laptop with a library. Last line of the talk is Spinoza's last line from the book that got smuggled out in the desk. All things excellent are as difficult as they are rare. Tan adds to it, the difficulty just collapsed. The rarity is up to you. So, why is this one for us? Tan isn't selling a framework. He's describing a stack most of us are already running. We've been probably into it for 8 or 9 months. And then he makes an argument about ownership. I haven't heard anyone else make this cleanly. Spinoza's cosplay aside, own your skill files before someone else owns them for you. It's a good thing to have in your head the next time you're deciding what goes in your repo and what goes in your employer's. Well, hot takes, shall we?
Yes, sir.
All right. Anthropic's text watermark changes the source of randomness in low-stake word choices. Long passages get statistically consistent with a secret key. Exact facts, code, proofreading, and heavy edits leave little room for the mark. A positive result means Claude likely processed some of the content, not that Claude authored it. Translation is more markable because Claude chooses every word. The Claude Detector API is coming soon. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I'm not sure what part you are. I'm not. I mean, obviously, I'm not a fan of Anthropic at all. And I'm increasingly and yeah. So okay, cool. I read a piece about this, right? I read a few pieces actually about this um on X. Yeah, it's the thing is like AI is increasingly going to be something that we interact with as we work. Does that mean that every single work you do is now going to be watermarked as authored by AI? Right. So for instance, if we were getting ready for this and I wrote the whole slide and I'm just like, hey, can you just like correct some typos? And then it corrects a few typos and then the whole thing is AI generated. Like, what? Or if you're Chinese and you use it's like an AI product to translate your stuff from Chinese to English, that means your every single thing you write online is now AI generated and watermarked by Anthropic. So it's super upsetting for some people. I kind of like went through it and actually had to go read the excuse for doing this is that the Europeans asked them to watermark stuff. And so I had to actually go read the actual like deal or whatever that and it had nothing to do with any of these. And apparently OpenAI had like experimented with a version of this a few years ago and got it to pretty good, and then refused to launch it because it's just like a great idea, right? Like to say that every single text I generate, I get it for for videos, right? Because deepfakes are a problem, right? You want to know that the video is a real person or not a real person. So if you say, and those things are already solved, right? There's synth IDs. Google did synth IDs. The industry adopted it. So it's like most images and videos, you can easily detect that AI, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I just don't see the use for text. And it's not just that it's different if it's embedding a metadata on it. Like for instance, if you did a PDF document, it will have a metadata attached to it. But it's every single text you generate has a cryptographic key in it, right? So that means, yeah. So it's not cool. I don't like it, but
No.
yeah.
No. Yeah. That's a hard one for me to steal, man. Um, the idea that schools need something, newsrooms need something. I mean, should we as a race know how to write? Sure. Um, but are all of us writers? No. I have a daughter that's a writer. She's 13. I suggested we use AI to proofread one of her books, and she turned up her nose. Man, I've got six other kids who would jump at the opportunity to have me proofread their stuff with AI. Um, I don't know. I think we're going to end up schools are going to end up having to use these tools and teach how to use them properly. Um, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, like,
it's
because
not
the
a
issue
it's
isn't
not great.
like, I mean, you can already detect whether text is AI generated, but the issue is just like injecting a cryptographic key in every single thing reading by everyone. And the issue, and it's like people say that, hey, listen, if they can do that, they should be able to tell Andy wrote it, right? They should be able to tell Andy wrote it. Like, so, because if you can add a key, like, there's nothing that prevents you from adding a key that is tied to someone's account, right? And
Yeah,
so you'll be able to know who wrote what, and then you start to get to this, it's like dystopian world where you're trackable, right? Because if every single thing you write online or you publish can be tracked, yeah, it's not cool, right? It's yeah. There are better ways of doing it. Again, let's see what OpenAI puts out, because again, someone responded to my tweet and said OpenAI did this, and then I Grok checked it, and Grok was like, no, it didn't do it, and then sent me an article where they experimented with it, didn't launch it. So let's see if they do, and see if that's where the industry is going. If that's where the closed sourcing models are going, then I'm glad I have local models. Then I'll just use local models for everything I write.
right.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I feel that way too. It's hard to pretend otherwise. Uh, this episode is also sponsored by Heritage Telecom. We keep the lights on while keeping the operating layer honest. Independent infrastructure for independent voices. Reliable, quietly essential. Heritage Telecom for your business telecommunication needs. One to watch for next Friday, the Stripe Open Router closing conditions, DeepSeek chart as launch follow-ons. I don't know if we really didn't address that, but you know, DeepSeek launched their vision just basically by posting benchmarks. It's pretty exciting. And whether anyone ever names OX Alpha. If Stripe Open Router closes before August 28th, the gateway and the wallet ship as one company, and the neutrality promise becomes a 1 quarter old commitment under audit. If DeepSeek ships an API, a paper, or a model card behind the chart, the launch as chart rule either firms up or quietly dissolves. Three watches the Stripe Newsroom Index for closing announcement, the Open Router change log for model routing behavior changes, and any independent measuring of routing neutrality post close. The DeepSeek repo or API follow up release, that'd be great. Any independent naming or measurement of OX Alpha will bring them to you, I'm sure. That's the Weekly Claw, episode 26. Discord for the live chat. There's going to be, let's see, do we have a QR code on here? No. We've got a Discord you can join. be part of the conversation. If you head over to weeklyclaw.ai, we'll have the recording of this episode up shortly. The recording of previous episodes are already up there. The show notes, the deck, the agenda. And next Friday, August 28th, 4 p.m., we'll see you there.
See you there, guys. Thank you.
Thank you all
Have a good
very
weekend.
much. Weekly giveaways. I love that idea. Awesome. Awesome.
All
Great
right,
to see
guys. Have a
everyone.
good
Thank
one.
you.